On this episode of Consumed, we're going to talk about becoming a hybrid agent, what that means for the health and benefit of your business, how consumers perceive it, and I'm not wearing deodorant. This is Consumed, the podcast for real estate agents who are tired of hearing the same old industry stuff and want to experience something completely different. So I was reading a study this morning, and you know how much I love a good study because statistics matter and they help in lots of different areas in our business. But I was reading a study this morning that showed, and it was done by a legitimate, reputable organization. They did a study and discovered that 71% last year, 71% of licensed real estate agents sold zero homes.
I saw that, as a matter of fact, this morning. It was an Inman article, and I was going to bring it up as well. So we're on the same page.
71%. So what's interesting then is they also broke down the people that had transacted one property or more, and the majority of those people didn't earn more than $50,000 in commission. And so if you have such a small segment of licensed agents actively doing the business and the rest of it is just noise, the thing I never seem to understand is then why is it that the techniques and the tactics that are used by those agents that are actually doing the business, and it's like literally like only like 5, 6, 7% maybe of the entire real estate agent population, why are the techniques and tactics they use exactly the same as the other 93% of the population that isn't doing squat? Like, I don't understand that at all. It doesn't make any sense to me.
But at the same time, Lance, it will definitely help to get rid of those agents, that 71% that didn't have one single listing. It will help to clear the road for the ones who are doing business.
Lucy, do you genuinely believe, you actually believe that those agents are going anywhere, that aren't doing anything? Every year someone, this change is happening in real estate. It's great. It's going to get rid of the agents doing nothing. That's never happened. It's never happened. Why? Because it's too easy to become an agent. So I park my license somewhere. Who cares?
Yeah, but you have to pay for your license, and you also have to pay to be part of the MLS. So it is getting more and more expensive. $800 a year for something that you will never get back because you didn't sell one single property. I guess the only reason you would keep the license is to be like on a referral base. So just in case if your neighbor is selling something, you will get the referral fee. So maybe just for that sake.
Great. And also, let's be super clear. Unfortunately, and I'm sure I'm going to get some hate mail for this one, but it's a fact that there is a big population of licensed real estate agents that are stay-at-home folk who are married to people who are well-to-do or who earn enough income. So it's just something fun to do, right? And that, unfortunately, and notice I kept that gender neutral because I know both sides of the spectrum, just to be very, very clear. But there's a lot of that. And that to me is, how do you take anybody seriously in a business where pretty much anybody can be like, yeah, no, that's what I do, without actually having to do anything? It'd be like me saying, well, you know what? I'm a psychiatrist. I don't have a degree in anything. And my friends like when I talk to them. So I'm a psychiatrist, it doesn't make any sense.
And I totally agree with you that only 5, maximum 10%, not even, are the ones who are really producing. And according to that study, even out of the 29% who is making $100,000 or more a year is very, very small. So the way I take it is the industry will get cleaned up. I don't know, maybe I'm naive, but I truly believe the industry will get cleaned up and better, and the agents will take the responsibility to take care of their consumer, or they will be out of the door.
So as we dive into today's topic, I bring this fact up because I think it's really important. It's a good starting spot. And I want to start here. Because when we look at the implementation and the use of technology versus being a, quote, traditional agent, no one looks at what the consumers want and need is in terms of that. So, let's first define, what is a traditional agent? A traditional agent, by my definition, is an agent who stays with the status quo of what we talk about, the typical things that you see in real estate. When we talk about marketing, a traditional agent is one that comes in with a marketing presentation, my brokerage, my reach, you're going to be in the Beijing Times, you have this, you have that, all the different things, my network, cool. That's traditional. We're going to do property mailers. Oh, mailers are traditional. We're going to do top line photography and videography, traditional, right? These are all things that are traditional to real estate. As well, I would define traditional real estate agents as ones who are reactive and focused predominantly on consumer or on their clients' issues, right? So they don't spend a lot of time working in their business. They spend a lot of time working in their business, not working on their business, right? So it's like the business comes in and they stop doing anything they need to do for their business, the health and benefit of their business, because all their attention and focus goes to problem solving and dealing with the consumer or the customer at that point in time, right? So to me, that's traditional. That's a traditional agent behavior and a traditional agent model. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree with you 100%. And I really appreciate what you just said, that they don't work on their business, they work in their business. They're so swimming in everyday bullshit that they don't really see a bigger picture. And most importantly, they harm their client, not help their client, because they could have shorter cuts, shorter ways to get to the issue versus going all the way around, because they don't have the education, they don't have the knowledge, they don't know who to turn to. So they just spinning the wheel and wasting their time and the time of their consumer.
So, okay, so if we have this general concept of a traditional agent, I'm going to give you who else I believe fits a traditional agent. It's the agent that goes and attends all of these agent panels and speaker fund coaching seminars and blah, 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 takes dozens of photos with their phone of things that they see on the screen that, oh, as soon as I get home, we take a picture of this. I'm going to do this when I get home, and does nothing with it.
I agree with you.
That is, to me, a traditional agent. It's an agent that has all of the good intentions, all of the right ideas, all of the right mindedness in doing something, but unfortunately is stuck in that trap of cycles of typical things. Okay. So if you're involved in programs and taking coaching or training or development things that are focused on traditional techniques and tactics, then you cannot expect different results. So imagine this. If, Lucy, you and I were to go to a training class, okay? And in that training class, we're told that there's a great script that I can use for outreach purposes, because that script is going to allow someone to feel like I can provide them with, quote, value. Yeah? Okay. So if in that class, we're there and there are 100 other people in that class, based on the statistics that we just saw, out of 100 people in that class, how many of them are actually producing and can earn a living?
Probably 5, 6.
Okay, 5 or 6. And yet, all 100 people will go back and do what?
Well, I wouldn't put the rest of 95 people in the same basket.
Wait. Answer the question. That's what I want. Ready? 100 people. You said 5, maybe, or 6 are earning a solid, good living and are, doing the business. But how many of them are going to go home and use that template to blast that out to everybody?
I would say 10, 15. I'm not going to put the 95 agents in one bucket, because some will do something.
You really believe that only 15 agents are going to take the pre-crafted template that's going to help them win with finding and sourcing new clients or connecting with their past clients? You're seriously telling me that you think only 15 agents are going to go home, use that template, and blast it out to everybody?
Maybe 20. But it's still a very small percentage. That's what I'm trying to say.
I disagree. I say 75 of those agents will go home, plug that in, click a button, and send it off. And what happens under that model is you then have 5 agents behaving like what? 70 other agents who aren't doing anything. And therein lies the problem, because traditional agents doing traditional behaviors mirror the agents that are doing nothing. So whether it's 25 agents or whether it's 75 agents, whatever. By the way, is that our pizza? Did our pizza arrive? Because I'm starving. I'm just letting you know if the pizza came. No? Okay.
No pizza.
So, so the hope that I have is if you look at this model contextually, well, then where does the technology piece come in? So we've talked in previous episodes, you and I, about how technology in and of itself is, kind of limited, we shall say. But I'm going to tell a quick story because I think it's relevant to how we operate. So I was talking this morning to clients of mine, and these are development clients that I work with, and they are about to take on a very, very high net worth listing. And I mentioned to them, hey, you really should implement the use of Matterport because of the fact that you're going to have an amazing opportunity. It's a very unique property. And I said, now that you can do the outside of the property as well as inside of the property with Matterport and a lot of the tagging capability that it has in there, the removal of furniture, the digital twin, and all these things. And this is not like a plug for Matterport. Like, it's a valid, legitimate, real tool. And so I said, you really need to, on your listing conversation with these folks, you need to bring this up. And they did. And the folks were like, okay, cool, whatever. And then they came back in the conversation we're having today, Lucy, they were saying to me, they mentioned during this that they were going to be talking to somebody else too. And we were sure that we were the only people they were talking to. And I said, okay, so, what are you going to do to follow up with them? Cricket. And they're like, well, I don't know. What can we do? And I'm not really sure. And I said, well, here's an idea. You mentioned Matterport to them, correct? What if you did a follow-up and say, hey, just wanted to send you something so you could see what I was talking about. And in this case, Lucy, you had shared with me the link to, can I say it? Am I allowed to say it?
Sure.
Okay. The link to Billy Joel's home in Long Island, which had been done in a Matterport tour, which is spectacular, by the way. But
I did all the tagging.
Thank you. And so it was amazing that the idea for them of taking that link that you shared to send it to the client and say, look how cool this is. We're going to have this as an ingrained part and feature as a point of differentiation, like, never crossed their mind. They just didn't think of it. And again, it's not their fault per se, but we don't look at the use of technology as a form of differentiation for anybody else. Why? Because we have to talk about the value that we have, and we get stuck in this rut of my marketing, the value that I bring in my marketing, when truth is we all have the same basic marketing for the most part. So, and yes, I know that some people will take a picture with their iPhone. We're not talking about, we're talking about the top 10% of agents.
I agree
right?
with you.
So it's like, how do we begin to change that landscape around it for the top people, the ones listening to this, so that you're implementing better technology in the use of how you engage with your client to be able to show them points of differentiation so that you're not the traditional agent?
Well, I'm in Dallas right now, yeah? So I'm doing a lot of presentations. And last week I had a presentation where I was talking about Matterport. First of all, no one knew what it is. But then when I start showing it on the screen, some people, not a lot, but some realized that they are familiar. They just didn't know it was Matterport. They thought it's 3D tour, it's virtual tour, it's whatever it is. And I had a lot of hands raising, saying, oh, my client hated it. Oh, I don't understand it. How can I explain it to others? Oh, by the way, my buyer hated it. And I was trying to get through, and like I was talking about being different, bringing the difference to the table, explaining to your clients, it's not for them, it's for the buyer. And even if one buyer out of 1,000 hates it, that's okay. Another 999 will enjoy it. And it was very difficult for me to get through that wall to explain that it is not for you. It is not for your seller, though it can be helpful for your seller because you don't have an army of people going through your living room. So it's helpful. Explain it to them from their point of view. But that fear of an agent that they cannot explain it properly, not to the seller, nor to the buyer, will stop them using the product. So after my presentation, I did stay for a while, and I had one-on-one with quite a few people, and I explained that they have to, absolutely must, in today's environment, change their set of mind. Some did, but some I don't think I was able to convert. And it is sad because, and it's not just Matterport, there's so many other things Even ChatGPT, as simple as it is, half of the room are not using ChatGPT. And that was an event for the top agents of that office. So it wasn't even for everybody. It was, they call it the top 20, and it was about 80 people in the room. So I didn't know how to approach, and how, I don't want to fight them. I don't want to tell them that you are missing the boat, which I probably should, and I will next time. But it is important for them not to fear. And you always talk about it, Lance. The fear will kill them.
Well, I'll empower you with a story that you can use next time you're in that situation, okay? So, first of all, let's be abundantly clear. I love it when someone says, oh, my person didn't like, that's a lie. It's a straight lie. It really is, because I talk to hundreds and hundreds of consumers who find three-dimensional tours awesome. Straight up, right? What I find interesting, so when agents say that, that's just not true. Yes, maybe one person, one time, one somewhere, but again, these are the same people that are like, oh, everybody loves my newsletter. Why? Because 4 people said they liked your newsletter. You send it to 30,000 people, but 4 of them love it. Therefore, right. So it's the rule of, one thing applies to everybody. But you can use this if you want, because it's a completely true story. So when I worked for Apple many years ago, I was part of the launch in the retail side of it for the iPad. And when the iPad was originally announced, as many Apple products, there's an announcement, there's a big show, and then there's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month before the product's available. And so when we were in the retail stores, there were so many consumers that would come in, and we'd be like, hey, did you hear about the new iPad that's coming out? And you'd hear the same thing every time. Oh yeah, but that's not for me. That thing is stupid. I'd say, why? Well, it's just a big iPhone. Every time, same thing. Well, that thing's stupid. No one's going to use that. It's a big iPhone. Every single time. And what was interesting was, yeah, to some extent, that's correct. It's a big iPhone. But what makes Apple amazing is that Apple had the ability, and Steve Jobs in particular, had the ability to understand what people needed before they ever were aware that they needed it. And what I find most interesting when you talk about technologies that exist within the world of real estate, there are things that are so readily, easily usable, available, and build connection, like a Matterport tour, for example, that to me, that's what it's like. It's like people coming in before they've ever really spent time in something, saying, oh, that's stupid. I don't like that. Well, you've never spent time in it. And when you spend a little bit of time in it, all of a sudden, you have a whole shift. And I just shared this with a group of folks that I was working with today. There's an old saying of, when the way that you look at something changes, the thing you look at changes as well. So it's important to remember when we look at these different technologies that are available, whether it's a ChatGPT or anything else, if we view them as these encumbrances or inconveniences to our business, or something that is scary, then they're scary. But if you look at them as opportunities to learn a little bit of something, to be curious and practice active curiosity, then problem solved, right? You have time to engage in those products and items in order to understand. Maybe it doesn't fit your full business model, but did you really explore it, learn it, and understand it? Because what you're going to find is when you have the ability to go and engage in something, it changes your perspective because it's no longer a fear-based concept or something that you view as irrelevant to the use case. So that's one, and you could just share that with people. Like everybody said, iPad, technically, if you want a fun fact, Apple came out with their first personal computer, and they included this thing in the box to use it. And the thing they included in the box, all the reviewers, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, all the tech reviewers blasted it. They were like, Apple just killed themselves as a company. They destroyed it. Steve Jobs has lost his mind. Nobody's going to use that stupid thing. It's ridiculous. They gave it a dumb name. I mean, they literally blasted it. It was a mouse. It was a mouse. It was the first time a mouse had ever been introduced to the use of a computer. And they killed it. And what do you know now? So
I
again,
cannot live without it.
right, exactly, right? Like, so if you think about these things that come to fruition and come to existence, that's how we need to think about it. So I encourage agents, have a little bit of curiosity, have an exploratory mindset around things, learn a little something. If you decide you don't like it, it's not for you, okay, fine. But you can't just come out of the gate being like, it's stupid. I don't like, because you don't know. One person says something, that's not a fact. 150 people say something, okay, that's a different thing altogether if there's study behind it.
I agree with you, Lance, but at the same time, we have to, all of us, we have to educate each other. We have to educate our clients who need to educate the consumer. So, but we need to think about the final consumer. So my goal, the way I look at myself, even here in Dallas, the way I look at what I am doing here, I am educating agents to educate their consumers, their sellers, their buyers, how important the product is and how much that product will help. The 24/7 open house. I'm just taking Metaport as an example because that's what I'm introducing. So, the 24/7 open house, let's save some time. How many people in the last 12 months moved across the street or 3 blocks down? Zero. They all moved to Dallas from somewhere else. And how many could come to the open house? None of them, because they had to fly. So I'm trying to educate, but sometimes it just goes to the deaf ear, that's for sure. But I think the more we talk about what's important for us to introduce to our customers and for them to understand, feel, love, and accept, then they will be able to explain at their presentation, at their meeting with their clients, how they can differentiate themselves and what they can bring to the table. And as a matter of fact, on Saturday, we did one of the digital twins for one of the clients. She just got it. She said it's the best thing ever. She's going to do it for every single listing. She already has another appointment for next Saturday. That's how powerful it is. And why it's powerful? Because she showed my example to her next client and she got the listing right away, just like that.
Yeah, and I think that we have to get out of this mindset too when it comes to the implementation of technology in our businesses. That especially for the consumer-facing function of technology, we need to stop presenting things to people as an opt-in. We need to present them as an opt-out. And what do I mean by that? When I do a listing presentation and I talk to somebody, I show them a list of all of the things, key things that I do that no one else is doing for them, right? But these are all things that are automatic. They're automatic. And if they decide they don't want something, we talk about it afterwards and then they can opt out. But by default, I don't need to show them and say, if you want to do this, we can. No, this is automatically done. And so as an example, there's a couple of things that are just technologically based. Matterport tours for me are not an opt-in, they're opt-out. It's automatic. If you don't want me to even put it up, then fine. But at the end of the day, it's done for every property, right? Secondly, a big component is, again, we talk about the traditional agent. The digital open house is far better than a paper open house. What do I mean? If you walk into an open house and there's a sign-in sheet where I have to sign my name,
with a fake email address.
Of course, you are a traditional agent. If you come in and someone gets to scan a QR code with their own mobile device and put their information in, or you have an iPad there and they can type their own information in, there's a study that shows that people are up to 12 times more likely to give you factual information when they have to type it rather than write it. And the reason is because of behavioral psychology, my favorite thing, because people believe that if they try and fake it, that system is going to go, that's not real. And they don't want to get called out in front of other people, so they put actual information in. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is, we have common technology now that once someone enters that information, it passes directly to my CRM. Once it passes to my CRM, before the open house is over, I get to go then and I can send a bulk message to all the people that visited. I can follow up 48 hours later and see who opened it, who forwarded it, how many times they opened it. And I can re-engage with those people directly rather than just trying to capture and read all this chicken scratch and then doing some e-blast, right? There are technical ways that I can simplify my own life with the implementation of these tools and technology. Yeah. So it's interesting to me to see that there's certain things that I can create differentiation versus other agents with the use of some small basic technology pieces that don't require a whole lot of work or heavy lifting. They're simple, they're easy, but in truth, Lucy, I think that this day and age for me, when I look at, how a lot of agents incorporate, I'll use tech as a loose term, into their business, email and text messaging is not tech. I mean, it's just not, I mean, it is astounding to me what's out there and what's available that just doesn't get utilized anymore because there's just such fear built around most of it.
And also, I always encouraged agents. First of all, I strongly believe everything you do for your listing today, it's your investment in tomorrow, because you build your reputation and you build your library, you build you build your basically your tomorrow's listing. I believe that when you have at the open house and you have the dollhouse of the Metaport, or you have just the floor plan or interactive floor plan where you click and the photo comes up, whatever technology you have, and you use it at the open house with your laptop and someone passes by, they just can't help it. They're going to look at it and they're going to respect the fact that you are bringing something, you are bringing technology to the kitchen for the potential buyers, or maybe someone doesn't want to buy anything. They just wanted to see the neighbor's house. But they're still curious and they're going to stop, look, and they will remember you because you are doing something different instead of just MLS sheets standing in a stand, and you can't even see anything there. You have the front of the house and that's about it. I think technology in that use is also very attractive.
Well, and I don't want to end this conversation without focusing on a piece that's, to me, also equally as important, which is technology that makes the agent's life easier. So separate from the consumer-facing side of things, right? So the other day, I downloaded an app. I saw an ad for it. I called nonsense, and just like I said, I'll try anything once. I like to explore. So I tried it, and I was so impressed with it that I'm going to give it a shameless plug right here. It's called Momo. Momo, Momo. It's an app in which it said, hey, look, go into your camera roll and give me at least 12 selfies, right? You can either take them yourself or you could just go back through past couple and look at selfies, preferably where there aren't lots of people in it because it wants to see who you are and what you look like. And again, as I said, you could do it right now. You could go take some couple different, it said it wanted some different facial expressions, some different lighting, okay, cool. Wasn't hard. By the way, I literally scrolled through. I gave it those 12, and then it said, hey, cool. Do you want to buy a pack? And I was like, cool, what's a pack? And it was like, well, there's different ways that we can create headshots for you. And for $10, I bought a headshot pack of lifestyle photography. And when I tell you, this thing nailed it so well, it was frightening. Because Lucy, I had literally nine different usable lifestyle photos of myself that I will tell you right now, I sent them to people. And I was like, oh, I just did a lifestyle photo shoot. What do you think? And they're like, that's amazing. Like, how did you have time to do all of that? Literally, they did not know it wasn't me. They did not know it wasn't me. It was astounding. Now, think of the expense, $10 for my lifestyle photo shoot, the time I just saved, all of that stuff. Why? Because I just spent a little time exploring one app to figure out, hey, is there something here that I can use? And now I've got new content for my website, for social media posts, for all this different stuff. And for what? $10. Like, if you're not looking at all the different opportunities and small resources around us currently to be able to simplify how we engage in our business, then you are really missing the boat on ways to simplify your life, because we're too busy working harder and not smarter around so many of these different things that are available today.
And I just would like to mention one app as well that I was reading about today. And the reason I was interested in the app, because I know
Tinder?
I know the person who actually invented it. No, it's Kickside.
Not Tinder.
So the app is Kickside. And it's just really cool because it can, as a consumer, you can go in and you can say, I want to see the last 10 properties on the market. Doesn't matter how much they are. And I will get that. I want to see what's for rent between $2,000 and $3,000 in this area. And immediately I will have that just in front of me. I don't have to search Zillow. I don't have to pick and look and go through filling out any kind of paperwork and so on. It's really amazing. And I tried it and it's very easy. So there's so much technology around us. And I do believe that it's a good idea. It's good for the agent to spend a few minutes here and there. If you totally cannot connect with it, you don't like it, it's not for you, toss it aside. Go to the next one. But it is worthwhile to investigate and to spend some time on what's going on in the technology right now.
And just to be clear, I want to just make it abundantly clear to all the listeners. I absolutely then bought the next 10 pack, which was the Fabio pack, which put my face on a Fabio style body and sent them to my wife and was like, here's what you probably thought you were marrying. And then I, had my fat pictures in there, throw it into boot too. So listen, you can have fun with some of this stuff too, because I really looked like I was on the cover of a Danielle Steele novel of Mother May I Sleep with Danger. It was great. It was amazing. I looked at that and I was like, I was so ashamed of myself. I was like, geez, man, you look like a hot pile of dog doom compared to this. Like, you really need to get your poop in a group, Lance. This is terrible.
So did your wife say, I do again?
No, she sent me the eye roll emoji followed by, well, what are we doing for dinner since you have so much free time on your hands right now? She puts up with a lot.
That is fun. Thank you for making me laugh.
That's what we're here for. Until next time, my friend.